The click of the padlock snapping shut was the sweetest sound I'd heard in years. Eleanor Whitaker stood on the other side of my heavy steel gate, her pale lavender pantsuit already clinging with morning sweat, manicured fists pounding the bars. "You think a lock stops me? I run this county," she shouted, voice sharp enough to cut glass. Behind her, a line of luxury SUVs stretched down the rural blacktop like a high-end dealership in meltdown. Mercedes, BMWs, Cadillac Escalades, a few gleaming Range Rovers, and even a couple of Porsches. 100 wedding guests, dressed for a $40,000 engagement party, stared in confusion from tinted windows. Phones were already up, recording. I stood on my porch, black coffee steaming in my hand, watching 12 years of her reign start to crack. "Ma'am," I said evenly, "you've spent over a decade making life miserable for folks in this county. Slashed my tires, filed bogus reports, even tried to steal my water rights with fake paperwork. But you never checked one thing." I paused, letting the words settle. "I'm the man who put your husband's company out of business 7 years ago. And this lake? It's been mine ever since. Let me tell you how a quiet water engineer from the Army Corps of Engineers took down the most powerful HOA president in Central Texas. One survey map, a lot of patience, and the simple truth that water always finds the way. The lake lies mirror still at dawn. For 20 years, I've measured its level at 5 a.m. sharp. Not because anyone demands it, but because when you own something valuable, people try to take it. You document everything. Every inch of rise or fall, every change in the current. The calluses on my palms came from decades of building dams, levees, and drainage systems that kept whole counties dry. My name is Harlan Brooks. I'm 63 now, retired from federal consulting, living on 45 acres of spring-fed lakefront in Caldwell County, Texas. The property wasn't inherited or bought cheap. It was won in a courtroom against people who thought money made them invincible. 7 years earlier, I was investigating illegal drainage permits for a federal contract. Routine stuff: verify surveys, check runoff disposal, make sure developers weren't poisoning wells. Then I found Apex Builders. On paper, Apex looked clean. Upscale subdivisions, golf course communities, HOA fees higher than most folks' house payments. But their permits were fiction. Construction chemicals, solvents, heavy metals were dumped into protected streams. Neighboring farms lost livestock. 3 families had to abandon homes when their groundwater turned toxic. I followed the paper trail, forged reports, bribed officials, doctored environmental studies. The lawsuit dragged 3 years. Apex's CFO, Victor Whitaker, made it personal. Lawyers showed up at my door at midnight. My pickup got keyed twice. Anonymous complaints nearly cost me my clearance. But water exposes what people bury. The federal judgment hit hard: $4.8 million in damages, criminal referrals, and this property, 45 acres Apex planned for condos, transferred to me as settlement. I moved in 3 weeks later, thinking the fight was over. I didn't know Victor's wife, Eleanor, had just been elected HOA president of the neighboring Whispering Oaks Estates. She'd waited 7 years for someone to punish. The first time I saw her was a Tuesday, 3 weeks after unpacking. A lavender Escalade rolled up my gravel drive like it owned the place. Vanity plate, Eleanor won. She stepped out in a matching lavender blazer, clipboard pressed to her chest like a shield. Compliance review stamped in red. "Mr. Brooks," she said, no handshake, practiced smile. "Eleanor Whitaker, HOA president. We need to discuss your situation." She listed demands: $600 monthly community enhancement fee, HOA approval for any change to my land, shared lake access for neighborhood events, security cameras, HOA approved only, watching the road that, unknown to her, crossed 300 feet of my property. "Ma'am," I replied, "I'm not in your HOA. This land predates your subdivision by 40 years. Her eyes flickered. In Caldwell County, cooperation isn't optional. It's survival. She left gravel crunching under her heels. My neighbor, old Tom Hargrove, 74, retired county surveyor, watched from his fence line. "That woman's run this place like her personal kingdom for 12 years, he said quietly. "You're not the first she's tried to break. You're the fourth." The harassment started small, easy to dismiss as coincidence. Anonymous EPA complaints about watershed contamination. My spring water tested pristine, but the paperwork ate 11 hours. Building inspectors demanded permits for structures built in the Eisenhower era. Health Department, well contamination reports. Again, clean water, more wasted days. Then social pressure. The local hardware store suddenly out of stock on everything I needed. The gas station's pump broke, only when my truck pulled up. The diner lost my orders, forgot my face. I documented it all. Dates, times, names. Patterns tell stories. Week 4, a Facebook group appeared, Caldwell Safety Watch. Blurry photos of my property, captions about suspicious late-night activity. Comments exploded with rumors. No activity existed. I lived alone, worked from home, but the narrative grew. Deputy Harlan Tate, mid-40s, desk-built, practiced smile, started dawn visits. Suspicious vehicles, possible illegal dumping. He walked my land without permission, asked questions unrelated to any case. 7 visits in 2 weeks. Each one documented in files I couldn't see. Tom Hargrove told me the history on my dock one sunset. 3 families before me. The Millers, retired teachers. The Garcias, young family. The Thompsons, longest holdouts. Code violations, contaminated wells, brake lines cut, school bus routes changed. All sold at a loss. All bought by Caldwell Lakeside Properties LLC, same address as Eleanor's real estate office. That night I dug into my old Apex files. Page 52 of the settlement. Apex subsidiaries included Caldwell Lakeside Properties. Eleanor wasn't just harassing a stubborn neighbor. She was reclaiming land her husband's empire lost. To me, this was revenge. Personal. Patient. Calculated. The physical sabotage came next. My dock railings cut clean with bolt cutters. Support posts loosened. I called the sheriff. Deputy Tate arrived, shrugged. Probably kids. No photos, no prints, no questions about my cameras. The cameras caught them 3 nights later. 2 young men, one Eleanor's nephew, Dylan. Bolt cutters, spray paint. Leave dripped orange across my boathouse door. I saved the footage to multiple encrypted drives. I confronted Eleanor on her porch the next morning. She smiled. Obviously fabricated. Deepfakes are easy these days. Time-stamped, GPS tagged, cloud-backed, I said. Your nephew's face. His truck plate. The cutters matched the cuts. She closed the door. The threat was clear. Evidence didn't matter. She controlled the story. Then the well. Foam poured from every faucet. Someone dumped industrial soap. Flushing took 3 weeks, $2,500. Tate's investigation, for minutes. Kids pranking. My bank accounts froze next. Unusual deposit patterns, the manager said. Compliance review. 30 to 60 days. I knew the manager had received a community partner award from Eleanor. She was strangling me financially, the same playbook used on the others. But she'd miscalculated. I wasn't selling. I was building a case. I documented relentlessly, recordings, photos, timelines. I contacted the previous victims. County Clerk Rita Morales met me 2 towns over, slid over evidence of altered property records. Boundaries shifted inches over years, always favoring the HOA. Her sister-in-law worked records. Rita was getting pushed out for noticing. Then the breakthrough, a 1958 water rights agreement, exclusive recreational use in perpetuity. Any gathering over 20 people required my written consent. Violation, criminal trespass under Texas Water Code. The original survey showed the HOA's only paved access road crossed 300 feet of my land. No easement. For 15 years, 130 homes trespassed daily. I installed the gate. Aerospace-grade steel, buried cables, smartphone control, motion cameras. Tom watched. That's not defense, he said. That's a statement. The night before the party, cameras caught Dylan and 2 friends trying to breach. Eleanor's voice on speaker. Break through. I'll handle it. Recorded. Uploaded. Morning arrived clear and beautiful. Guests rolled up at 7. Confusion turned to chaos. Eleanor arrived at 8:15, stormed the gate, heels sinking in dew. Open this now. I'll have you arrested. I stepped forward. Good morning, Eleanor. This is private property. Your event exceeds 20 people without consent. Texas Water Code says criminal trespass. Her face cycled through rage and disbelief. Deputy Tate arrived, hand near holster. Open the gate, Mr. Brooks. This is interference. I held up my phone. Internal Affairs has your 17 fraudulent visits. Audio, timestamps, your car at her house on duty. He paled, stepped back. A news van pulled up. Reporter Carla Mendoza approached. Reports of HOA harassment, property fraud. Rita Morales stepped forward with documents. Water rights registered. Records tampered. Criminal investigation pending. The crowd hushed. Phones captured everything. Eleanor shouted, "Do you know who I am?" "Yes," I said. "Wife of Victor Whitaker, CFO of Apex Builders, the company I bankrupted for poisoning watersheds. The company whose land this was." State troopers arrived quietly. Eleanor Whitaker, arrested for conspiracy to commit fraud, tampering with records, false reports. Deputy Tate, abuse of authority, obstruction. Handcuffs clicked. Her daughter stood frozen, mascara streaking, fiancé on the phone with lawyers. Eleanor glared through the patrol car window. "This isn't over." I smiled. The aftermath was thorough. Eleanor got 8 months county time, federal charges pending 2 to 5 years. Real estate license revoked. HOA presidency stripped. New board focused on real service. Victor filed for divorce. Caldwell Lakeside properties face seizure. Assets returned or compensated. Previous families got settlements, fresh starts. The community changed. Transparency rules, independent oversight. The road easement properly filed. Lake access restored respectfully, with education programs. Last week, I sat on the dock at sunrise, same ritual. Tom brought coffee. "Quieter now," he said. "Yeah, she'll appeal. They always do." He nodded. "Some fights you win with lawyers. Some with patience. The ones that matter? You win by knowing what you own and making sure everyone else respects it. Water doesn't break. It finds every crack, exposes every flaw, brings down anything built on lies." Eleanor built her empire on intimidation and corruption. She never understood that truth has its own current. If you've ever faced an HOA nightmare or dealt with power that thinks it can crush anyone who stands up, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you seen injustice like this in your own neighborhood? Do you think people sometimes have to take matters into their own hands when the system fails? Or is the law always enough? I'd love to hear your side. Drop your story below. Let's talk about it.